deliver it to the other thing. So
the IR sync capability.
So Garrett, one thing you talked about a lot is time and a place for everything, right? Especially, you know, when we hook cover, when we don't, and the effect that that bullet can have on round, on impact of the things around you, and that spalling and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and go through with us what kind of effect that can have, and I know you're going to demo it here in a minute. Too.
Right. So just kind of starting off, there's never a one-size-fits-all approach to anything, right? So this is for depending on proximity, how you're going to be, how close you're going to be to cover. Okay, if we're bunched up on cover, it can be difficult. We have to retract our gun, move it around, you know, so on and so forth. But if we stand back from cover, depending on where the threats are coming from, we can work those angles, manipulate the gun faster, right, via using the angles instead of actually moving as far. And I'll show that a little bit later. But also I want to show what a potential miss, you know, it hits the corner of a wall, what that spalling and round will do to you versus if you've got some standoff. Okay, so what we've got over here is we got a chunk of steel and then some cardboard. So this is mimicking a corner, if you will, of a hard building, brick, wood, whatever. And this is a guy, you know, half a silhouette, you know, exposing himself outside of this corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to back up and shoot it real quick. All right, so as you can see, a guy doesn't even need to hit you, you know, he can miss and hit the corner of whatever it is that you're fighting from, and effectively that round starts to peel off whatever this material is, or it explodes itself if it's off something hard, and a miss effectively becomes a potential hit, right? That's a lot of spalling. When this round hits, it acts like a firework. It starts off very dense and then quickly dissipates, right? So what we're gonna do now is we're going to take this steel, we're going to move him back a little bit. We're going to kind of change the angle so you can see a little bit differently. Something as simple as that. So now, if I'm that guy and this is the corner of my cover, right, I have the ability to manipulate my weapon very easily without having to retract and do all of that. Mind you, again, this is not a one-size-fits-all. This is for a certain time and place, okay? So we're going to come over here this way. I'm going to shoot this again. Now you can see you've got a new line, right? This is kind of our new line. You see how much thinner it is right here versus how dense it is here, right? So what we like to say is if you're going to be fighting off of a piece of cover, we inherently have a tendency to get up close, suck up close to something. We feel nice and protected when we're close to that thing. But it's hard to manipulate the gun. You've got to actually expose to get the gun out, or you've got to, you know, create some space. If I'm back here, I can bring the gun up, find my edge, and then start to peek. My eye and the barrel and the optic are the first things being exposed, and they're also my input gathering devices, if you will, right? So what I'm seeing and sending down range is the first thing that's being exposed. So with that said, it's also for working angles. If you imagine you have something like a vehicle here that you're fighting from, okay? And let's say you've got a threat here and a threat here, because they're smart and they want to spread out. If I am back here close to cover and I need to fire at this guy, and then I got to switch over and fire at this guy, because if I just stay fixated on this guy, he's going to start to maneuver. I need to put rounds on both of them fairly quickly, or at least keep their head down so that I can maneuver. If I'm here, I have to travel this distance every time I switch and shoot to make those angles. Now, if I step back to about here, right, just far enough back to where I can just about see both of them, and then a half a step in, I can still get this angle, right? I can still get that angle, but I'm not moving. Now I'm backed up. I can take a half a step, manipulate my gun, fire. Take a half a step, manipulate my gun, fire. If I'm close, I've got to travel the total sum of the distance very quickly to get the work done, right? So, use your angles. through efficiency and through fighting the inherent tendency of wanting to hug up against cover, you can get the work done faster.
I like what you're saying here, and that's absolutely true. That situation awareness is key. One of the big things, and you know guys are going to bring it up is, and it's just a fact, targets don't stay stationary. We always got that enemy, they're moving around, boom, boom, when they're trying to move to cover, they're going to try and get an advantage on you.
Sure.
So with this, if you're too far back and these guys move out, that guy's going to be exposed. So take us through how you solve that problem.
Absolutely. So through, just starting off, so through efficiency, if I can transition quicker because I work the angle better from a deeper distance, right? I'm going to limit your time to move on me. That's number one. Now, guys, you know, if they're going to move, they're going to scramble, do whatever. Right. So actually what we'll do is we'll have you walk out like you're this guy. So go ahead and punch out that way a little bit like you're trying to get the advantage on me. So I'll back up. So you good?
Yep.
All right. So actually, yeah, there we go. So right here, you can see now this is narrow, but if this were a vehicle, you know, turned sideways, or the back of it, or two vehicles like this, effectively, as soon as I would see either of them, you know, I would bring myself to where I would see kind of both of them, and I would take a half a step in and limit. I've gained, you know, I can see those edges. So Drew, okay, so you're gonna go ahead and, you know, move right a little bit or move to your left a little bit, whatever you're gonna do. All I have to do at this point, every step he takes out, I just match it coming in, and I've gained that back on him, right? Go ahead, one more. The broader he goes on me, I now start to pull closer to cover. So, you know, that whole, you know, flanking situation, right? As you do that, it drives me in closer. So initially, if I'm doing the work correctly, I create some space and I'm working these angles in a very efficient manner, switching, whatever. I'm gonna keep your guys' heads down, limit your ability to move, right? If you squeak on by, cool. I still can continue with great efficiency to, you know, put rounds on you. And so that's something we used to work on quite a bit. It wasn't inherently obvious to me, and then it was like, oh, wow. You know, we always wanted to suck up close. It gets loud, you know, violent, whatever. You want to suck up close, but that's not always the best thing. So this is, you know, there's a time and a place for it. You have to have a lot of confidence in your skills, and sometimes you got to go against what, you know, is intuitive for you. Right. But if the math makes sense, you know, everything that I teach is like, it has to make sense. And if it doesn't, you know, then we'll ditch it. So this makes sense to you. Give it a try. Work the angles for yourself.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
All right.